that Mnangagwa should put together a democratic government. I mean, there are these euphoric scenes that are continuing overnight and this morning in the streets of Zimbabwe after the resignation. But what they are saying is that although Mnangagwa does not have a good track record, he should start a new slate. So that's it's a big issue, and some people are a little bit reserved about the new leader coming in. Chriselda, I know that you're in the streets of Harare. What have you been hearing from people? Because as much as there is great excitement about the resignation, we can never take that away from Zimbabweans. But they will, by this afternoon, if reports are to be believed, have a new president. Do they feel he will make the change that's needed to move Zimbabwe forward?
Well, that's right, Leanne. After all the pomp and ceremony is done, certainly Zimbabwe will have to rebuild itself. And what the Zimbabweans are saying to us is that they're placing all those hopes on Emmerson Mnangagwa. In fact, highly placed sources are telling the SABC this morning that Emmerson Mnangagwa will be arriving from South Africa in Harare today, and that he will be heading to the ZANU-PF headquarters to meet with his former staff. You'd recall, of course, just a couple of weeks ago, he was sacked by the now resigned President Robert Mugabe. We also understand that there is a possibility that he will be meeting with Robert Mugabe as well. We're yet to confirm that at this time. We also understand that he will be met at the airport by the commander of the armed forces in this country, Constantino Chiwenga, as well as senior ZANU-PF officials, and that's when he will start his program. We'll get official details on when he will be sworn in at a press conference that will take place at 10 o'clock this morning by the Speaker of Parliament. That will give us great detail on exactly what's expected to happen next. But many, of course, are saying at this time that while Mugabe may now be gone, what needs to happen is constitutional reform. You're dealing with the country with laws and policies in this country that they say have not benefited the people for the longest time. So the job, really the task at hand now, is for Emmerson Mnangagwa to have that confidence in the people of Zimbabwe and ensure them that many of the challenges that they have been facing for the longest time relating to the bolstering of this economy. If you look at the collapsed health sector as well as education in this country, those are some of the main issues, including job creation, that the ordinary Zimbabweans are saying there needs to be change that will see all of that come into effect, and for the fortunes of this country to be changed again to allow it to be one of the bread baskets on the African continent. But certainly Mnangagwa has a very tough task at hand at this point. He needs to hit the ground running, because while Mugabe may be gone, those constitutional policies that these people say have not benefited them need to be changed. And if we look at what his background is, Mnangagwa as an astute businessman, perhaps that again would give confidence to allow foreign direct investment in this country and inspire investors to come back to Zimbabwe and allow this economy to flourish once again. But of course, many others as well do have that skepticism, because remember, Mnangagwa himself has a long-standing relationship with the now resigned President Robert Mugabe. He's been the right-hand man of this highly criticized president who is blamed for the political and economic woes of this country. So it really remains to be seen. In the very first address that he does give, we also understand that perhaps he might have a press briefing today as well, if he does finish the duties that I mentioned, including going to the ZANU-PF headquarters and perhaps meeting with Robert Mugabe as well. Be very interesting to hear what changes he wants to see in Zimbabwe. But quite importantly, what we expect him to speak about is exactly those issues relating to how he's going to resuscitate the economy of this country. But it's business as usual again, Leanne, as I spoke to you guys a bit earlier on this morning. Everybody is going about their business, and street vendors, the banks are open, and we're seeing many people just head over to work as well. But you can feel that excitement. I was listening to Ntakwane, our colleague there as well, the very same excitement that you see in South Africa. You can only but imagine what is happening in Harare and in other parts of the country as well. As these people say, at the end of the day, they were the ones without any bloodshed in this country. They were able to say that it was time for Robert Mugabe to go, and they were quite adamant. There was supposed to be a shutdown that was supposed to take place today. That, of course, cancelled due to that resignation. But the real work certainly begins now for Zimbabwe. After we pack up our bags and we leave this country, it's the people of Zimbabwe together with their leaders who will have to find a lasting solution to this country to ensure that it does return to its former glory and ensure that at the end of the day, Zimbabweans are the ones who have employment, the ones who will be able to get decent health care, and of course, a good education. You would know that many people who have degrees as well have struggled in this country to get decent employment and have fled to places like South Africa over the past decade to access opportunities. They want opportunities in their country. They say they're tired of being in foreign land and want to return here to rebuild a country which they say, as they demonstrated on the streets of Zimbabwe yesterday, they're patriotic about, and they really want to see it flourish and move forward.
Chriselda Lewis, thanks very much for giving us an update from the streets of Zimbabwe, the story that is certainly stealing all the headlines here in South Africa and abroad at this point. I mean, when you watched when that news broke, it didn't matter which channel you turned on to, whether it had been any local channel, any radio station, any international channel. That is what everybody is talking about at the moment.
Yeah, no, when the news broke, I was driving on my way home and I couldn't believe what I was seeing.
Yeah.
Quickly tuned into radio and indeed it was happening.
It was happening. All right. Let's leave you